Really scary and disturbing to me to see that, because I felt like that was an intentional move by the author to say that's what's been happening so far. Yo, it's Shiro. This is Shiro's TV, and welcome to the first installment of Bookin' It. Now, this is a huge part of the channel. I wanted to do it some respect, so I wanted to make sure I had the right mindset and I knew where I was going with the whole segment. So I just want to start by saying this is the segment of the channel where we do our in-depth book reviews.
I'm the only brain cell left. Well, at least I have my books.
And we're gonna go through several topics on each book, and then we'll just assess it at the end, and then we'll move on to the next one, because I got a lot of them and I burned through them. Bit of a bookworm, so I've got a few books that I've already finished that I'm definitely gonna check out. I want to start things off with the first book, ReZero Light Novel Edition 25, and also the end of the Tower arc. So that's the book we'll be doing today, and the first book we'll be doing. And we're gonna follow that up with an entire review of the 25 books that I have read of the ReZero Light Novel series, because I am fiending to read the 26, which I very recently purchased. We won't go into that, we'll go into that later. But right now, let's get to the book of the day, ReZero Light Novel 25. We're going to begin with the most satisfying part of all of this book, and what has been led up to since the beginning of the Tagaeta Tower arc. Louise Arneb finally meets her end. Alright, and it's really actually hard to explain how it happens, but it's sort of like the downfall of her own power and her own avarice that sort of destroys her. It was a very, very fitting end for her, but personally, I think the thing about ReZero, it's so complex that like I wish I had seen it first before it was described to me, because her abilities are so confusing and so complex that even these powers that they hold, these authorities that they hold as archbishops, sometimes are so broken that even they can't comprehend them. So I get that it was really nice that she sort of cannibalized herself, the same way that Greed sort of cannibalized himself, right? So that was a fitting end for her and everything that's going on with her and her brothers. But I think the most satisfying part was that we finally fucking got Subaru back together again. Now he's not all the way back together, because I believe the two sides haven't joined yet after re-getting his memory back, because so we get the old Subaru that we've had for at least a book and a half that had no memory, going into everything and killing Melly by choking her. Totally crazy. I gotta say about that point before, I was really upset about that, because I was like, holy shit, we did all this in the beginning. I can't believe we're like starting over. But it wasn't a start over, and we'll talk about that later, because that's more about that book back then. But my point being is that we finally get our man whole again, and he is back to being Subaru, but now he's Subaru and the Subaru that didn't know anything. So now he has a different kind of foresight that's very interesting. So going forward, it's very interesting. I really like that. And I think it adds a new layer to Subaru's confidence and determination that really shines. Victory! Next up, we have Reed Estrella versus Julius Juku Julius. All right, and this was actually a really huge moment for Juku Julius. All right, I think he's always been arrogant, he's been annoying, but all these chapters that he's had to overcome the weaker version of himself, I think has brought him to an incredible place. You know, now that he's lost his memories, he has to be a different version of himself that even he can't recognize, and you kind of get that at the end. This relinquishment of the knighthood, or, you know, for a second before he realizes that's who he is at his core. And so he doubles down on it instead. And that made the fight so engaging with him and Reed Estrella. I thought that was great. And the end of it, God, that was crushing actually. To see the sword and read and realize that he wasn't even like a drop in the bucket of his proper strength, because he couldn't actually be wounded, because all of this shit about gluttony couldn't endure Reed Estrella's saintly body. So not only does Reed die, but also goes one of the Gluttony brothers. So there you go. What a fitting end. I think, talk about a flex for Julius, and he's definitely going to go up against Reinhard when he gets the chance. I think he's over this insecurity he has with Reinhard, like just because he's a god saint that he can't be touched, you know. Fucking Bowel Hunter almost touched him in season 1, so think about it. Ram reaches her peak. Now Ram has gone after one of the Gluttony brothers. She has basically sealed his fate by removing all of her limiters, being supported by Subaru's new interesting power that he has taken from Greed. I believe he can shelter the pain of others, which is very interesting, an interesting take for Subaru, who is quite literally doing that with all of his return to deaths. Very interesting power, and I think it really helps everyone all together, and that's a really good power for him. I mean, it's reasonable, it makes sense, and I like the way that it plays on everything, and it might help, but it puts so much pressure on his body. But he's so used to just like paying for the cost that it just works out, and I kind of like that. But here, now that we see the limiters taken off of Ram, she is so OP that she absolutely destroys this other Gluttony brother, okay? And he is enamored with her after she beats the fucking ever-loving shit out of him and goes to his own death for her own satisfaction, I believe. It's just the way that he went out was so gory and so crazy with the wind slashes that she just had left in the air. I think that was genius. But most importantly to me, I realized obviously here we were going through the entire tower. We had all the Gluttony brothers show up in the tower, and we knew something might go down, and it did. In this unique moment where no one else could defeat any of the Gluttony brothers, we got all of them taken down in one fell swoop, in only one way that it could have been done here. And that's just amazing to me. And that means something really important we'll get to right at the end, because it's the most important thing to me, period. The fall of Shala. Now we get to a point which is one of the most stressful points in the entire book, where everyone is fighting Shala just to keep themselves alive, and in the end they have no choice but to put her down, and I'm surprised that they can even do it. But it was just so heartbreaking to see her go after everything that you see her change in book 24. You just see her sort of do a complete 180 from the person you expect her to be. And you know, I shed a whole ass tear, bro, because I just felt for her being stuck there so long. And now we see her true form, and she's kind of dead, but she's not dead. And I don't know, she's a scorpion, so it's hard to care about her now because of my hatred of bugs. But I think that really got to me. I think it felt really good to have another companion, and I wish we didn't have to leave her at the tower like a side character, but she was really important, and I think she had some serious staying power, even if she's just a scorpion now. We can always remember her as what she was, and maybe she'll come back. I feel like she's going to be that ace in the hole that shows up when all of the chips are down, so hopefully we can do that. Amelia versus Volcanica. Now, this was an introduction to the Holy Dragon Volcanica, who protected Lucan. I'm not even gonna try to say that fucking name. Lucancina, Lusignica. You know what? Fuck that. I know how to say it. Who gives a shit? It's a fucking country that starts with an L. Luciniga? What the fuck? Luciniga? Okay. But the point being is that the dragon was the god protector with the other people that sealed the jealous witch. And so now we finally actually see Volcanica, but it's sort of like a statue or a shadow of its former self. But she has to spend basically the entire book trying to get past him to get to like the goal or the staircase. But you know, it's the holy fucking dragon. He's strong as shit. He's been waiting at this tower. I don't know why. It's not a fake relic. It's the real thing, you find out nearly at the end. But he doesn't really say anything but repeat the same phrases like throughout the entire book until right at the end, you know? One thing of particular note to me in this book, and maybe the most disturbing thing of this entire book, of the series right now is the part where Amelia is trying to get past the Holy Dragon Volcanica. And there's not really an illustration of this, but she tries a lot of things to get past him. But she does this thing where she summons like ice sculpture Subarus to help her out because she can sort of imbue them with the power she believes him to have, which is kind of really cute. I really enjoyed that. What a really cool like expression of her abilities to see him be superhuman even when he's not. But there's a moment when Volcanica sort of just swipes away all of the Subarus that are made of ice and shatters them into glass, and Amelia sort of uses that as a distraction to get to the goal that she needs to get to. And it was actually really scary and disturbing to me to see that, because I felt like that was an intentional move by the author to say that's what's been happening so far. Like, she has just been climbing corpse upon corpse of Subaru to get to the right destination. And I don't know, I used to think that when she found out, if she can find out that he has returned to death, I don't know if that helps the relationship or destroys it, because I don't know if she can even take the burden of being the person that's relied on like that. I mean, no matter how hard she understands that he cares, no matter how often they express their care for one another, I don't think that she'll ever be able to understand the complexity of the things that he has gone through. And I think it'll just like fuck her entire mindset. But that's yet to be determined. I'm very interested to see what sort of relationship the dragon has with the witch. It seems like, you know, the reveal at the end is that they were all good friends and something bad happened that destroyed the witch, I guess. So very curious about that. But the thing I'm most curious about is the defeat of the three brothers of gluttony and the relinquishment of Rem's life. That's right, people. We got Rem back after 25 fucking books. Wait, no. After which book? From book 10 to book 20 fucking 5, we have not had Rem baby awake, okay? She has been Sleeping Beauty for millennia in Subaru years, okay? In us years, okay? This is the moment I've been waiting for. I thought I was gonna cry. I didn't. You know, I guess not. Maybe I will when it comes out in the anime, because Jesus Christ, is this not the shit I pump into my fucking veins, okay? But it was so beautiful to see her awake. She doesn't have her memories. Whoop-de-fucking do, of course she doesn't. There's gotta be an asterisk to any ReZero. But this was an amazing step, and to see any payoff for what Subaru has gone through, the hell that Subaru has endured, like no man has ever endured before. It is so nice to see Rem awake again and living. She doesn't get anything yet, and neither does Ram, because she can't remember her sister, but she's awake, and I don't know what's gonna happen from here, but I am really excited to see where it's going. And speaking of where it's going, now it's time to get to my predictions for the future. It's clear to me after the ending of this book, where we get the shattered Tageata Tower, we've got a tiny scorpion Shala, and we're leaving with everything intact and some books, I guess. We've sort of fixed everything, but I'm not sure yet. We haven't seen the repercussions of Subaru's actions in the tower yet, but I'm pretty sure, and I'm hoping that there's gonna be some miraculous turnover, and Amelia and Subaru are gonna be known as like some fucking gods, because they basically brought all of these people who lost their memories back to life. Like, think about all the people, like over thousands of years, that have been wronged by gluttony, and now they're just like back in people's lives. I mean, that's fucking insane. So that's what I'm hoping to see, like some sort of repercussions for what they've done here, because it could only turn out good for them in the royal selection. Also, it seems to me, based upon the cover of book 26, that we are going to be heading to the Holy Emperor the Holy Empire of Wallachia. Is that how you say it? Volkia. And if you're 25 books deep, I think there's a likelihood that I can also read that you have also checked out the 5 EX light novel books that sort of do side stories. The ones about the Volkian Empire, pretty fucking crazy. And I think it gives you a huge insight into who this character on the front of the book is. I am really interested to see how he has matured over the years, but I'm interested to see how Subaru really survives in the Volkian Empire, because I think that's what we're doing here. And now we got Rem, we've got a whole new set of characters I'm really excited to get into. But that was book 25, everybody, and overall, a great closer. I'm giving this one a 9 out of 10. And not a perfect score, only because I think there were moments where I feel like the descriptive powers were only lacking in like the weirdest way, because it's so hard to write consciousness in the sense that Louise Arneb was losing herself and eating herself at the same time. So it was really hard to read, and like him getting his memories back. Who is he? Who is the new Subaru? Old Subaru? Really weird conflict, but that little bit of confusion was the only thing that was a speed bump in the book for me. But everything else was fucking great. I'm really excited to get into book 26. As you've seen by the rotation of books I'm reading right now, it might be not far down the line, but I don't know what I'm gonna replace Gunmetal Gods with yet. So it's been Shiro on Booking It on Shiro's TV. Next time on Booking It, we read Daniel Green's Neon Ghosts. It's nice being with you. I'll see you next time. Peace.